Said love don't seem to live here anymore. She's been down and out and broken down before. Niggas don't act right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, niggas don't act right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Love don't seem to live here anymore. She's been down and out and broken down before. Niggas don't act right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, niggas don't act right.
Peace and Black Power family, welcome to another Son of the TV House of Consciousness production. You already know what it is. We've been anticipating this for a long time. We have Rabbi Harry. How you doing?
Amazing.
I mean, you got to have some courage and heart to come up in the lion's den facing off with the young phenom. We have Brother Polight over here to my right, and he will be defending the black conscious community. Brother Harry is on this side, on my left, and he will be defending the Jewish,
the God of Israel.
the God of Israel. You heard it first from Harry. If the God of Israel existed, we're going to find that out right now. So without any further ado, who would like to set this thing off right here to get it popping?
Okay, good.
Brother Rich, do you have a question to set it off? Okay, well, we'll pass the mic to Brother Polight, and Polight going to set this thing off.
Okay, I'm hoping to have a great conversation right now so we can truly find our points of contention, so we could generate those theses or those diatribes for the lecture. So that's what I posit, that religions have been used at great length to manipulate the masses for political purposes. And though I haven't come across a religion that didn't have very impressive edicts or tenets that the people should subscribe to, it still puts us in a conundrum, and as far as the fact that you have to sift through the misinformation that has been put or amalgamated with that data that is divine or positive or uplifting or cultivating. Because once you have all that truth, that's normally what people defer to when the confusion takes place in conversation. Once we identify where the confusion takes place, they normally defer our attention to the truth that also exists within the confines of their scriptures. So I'm here today to say that as a purportedly black man, or as a melanated brother, I would contend that in 2016, we have to remove ourselves from anything that our oppressors have introduced to us in our community. Obviously, I make no subscriptions to what I would identify as the mythos that they call the data is found in the Tanakh or the Torah or the New Testament or the Quran, though I believe that some of the information is predicated upon actual events that may have been embellished upon over time, where what I need to ask is, for the sake of knowing, the Jews or Hebrews, correct? The Jews or the Hebrews, are the original Jews black or are they white? I have a reason behind asking that question, but first I would like you to share your standpoint with our audience before I would expound on what I would like to say.
Thanks. It's actually interesting to note that the Torah and the Tanakh is better be someone real important for this one. No, it's all good. The Torah is very not specific about what the color of the people of Israel are. The Torah is specific about a lot of things in the most minute detail, but they're not very specific what the color of Israel was.
Chapter 25. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called
That
Edom.
being the case, I mean, there are references, in Song of Songs, it does mention, hold on one second, we're going to pause for a moment. Just going to keep it flowing. So as I was saying, the Torah is not specific about what the color was, even though there are references to certain colors. Most interesting, the reference we see to color, a theme throughout, is found with Adam, whose name Adam has a red connotation to it, which was the same redness used to describe Esau, the brother of Jacob. Now I know there's different shades of red. I'm a pale pink red, as your community would call it, but there's also, from Africa, there's a dark soil red, and there's different shades of red. So for me, I think it's on purpose that the Torah doesn't stress what color the people of Israel were. We can assume, though, based on the time, the location back then, the people of Israel were dark-skinned. The people of Israel were dark-skinned. The people of Israel were dark-skinned. And in no way, shape, or form does joining or being a part of the people of Israel mean you have to have
Chapter
a certain
2.
color skin.
And
So
there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord... Chapter 14. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah concerning the dearth. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up.
yeah.
So here's, just to understand you more so I don't make no assumptions. To get this right, you're saying that the Torah doesn't have no specific element in which case they identify color as far as race is concerned. To my understanding, the Torah has God condemning certain groups of people or cursing certain groups of people. And even to my understanding that God even has chosen groups of people. I don't know if I'm in error. I want to ask you, is this true? Does God have an elite group of people or a chosen group of people, namely Israel, or is everybody just on equal playing field there?
It's a great question. So when referring to chosen and not chosen or cursed, that's really up to us.
Chapter 3. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Can 2 walk together except they be agreed?
So you want to be righteous, make yourself chosen, do something good.
Okay, and I'm going to start my thesis right there, all right? For so-called African Americans, the reality of life feels very much different in comparison to other national bodies of people. It would be unhonorable and unethical to say the so-called African Americans have not shaped the economic, political, social, and even overall development of the world. World exclusively in all caps. For example, Lewis Latimer created the constant flow of electricity. In short, the light bulb. As we all know that every country utilizes this invention. Also keep in mind that he invented the telephone as well. Even other inventions like automobile created by George Washington Carver.
Born into slavery in Missouri, George Washington Carver was orphaned as an infant and raised by Moses and Susan Carver, the family who had owned his mother.
Products that would benefit the black rural poor.
He developed the Jessup wagon, a movable laboratory on wheels to help educate farmers. He encouraged them to rotate their crops to conserve the nutrients in the soil and to give up soil-depleting cotton crops. He persuaded the farmers to plant peanuts instead. In his Tuskegee lab, he developed over 300 uses for the peanut and 100 uses for the sweet potato, anything from beverages to medicines to paints. Carver collaborated with Henry Ford in developing alternative fuels with soybeans. He also perfected a process for extracting rubber from the milk of the goldenrod plant.
Carver produced a series of scientific inventions that were primarily designed to enhance the economic and agricultural productivity of the Black Belt.
And even touch-tone cell phone or maybe solar electricity, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson. Latest 2017 release of basic eye surgery utilized by millions up to date. Unethical should now seem as an understatement. I'm going to move on. In 1808, slavery was banned in the United States. Well, not slavery itself, but the importing of slaves. Let's take a date recap. In 1526, the Portuguese began this transatlantic slave trade from Africa to Brazil, ending its reign in 1888, meaning the import of slaves and slavery was banned. In 1833, Britain ended its slave reign of the Caribbeans as well as South Africa, and in 1811, Spain abolished slavery nationally or throughout its colonies. However, like most Americans of 1808 in the United States, Cuba refused to stop enslaving blacks. Now let's move on. Have you ever heard of pillaging slave labor? It's okay because most haven't. During the Reconstruction of the 12 years following the Civil War and the abolishing of slavery, former slaves made meaningful political, social, and economical gains. For example, most so-called black men voted and even held public office across the South. Black literacy surged, compassing those of whites in some cities, such as Wilmington, North Carolina. On November 1898, 47 years after the abolishing of slavery, heavily armed columns of whites marched into the black neighborhood of Wilmington. The hundreds of whites stated things like they no longer wanted blacks to have more, or they need go back to the Africa. This well-ordered mob burned newspaper offices and local black marts, murdering hundreds and hundreds of black residents. Even up to this day, the precise number is still unknown. They also banished many successful blacks from the entire area. Though there were many other occasions like Tulsa, Oklahoma, 113 years after the so-called ending of slavery, when mobs of white residents attacked black residents and businesses of the Greenwood District. The U.S. government also assisted the whites by bombing the black community twice in one day. It is now known as the Massacre of Tulsa. The institute and uplifting of black schools, churches, and social institutions had worldwide upset whites, even those who thought this transition to be good at first. The historian Eric Forner writes in his so-called masterwork on Reconstruction, black participation in public life after 1867 was the most radical development of Reconstruction years of the 19th century. But this was indeed short-lived yet again. As W.E.B. Du Bois wrote, the slave, when free, stood in the sun and then moved right back towards slavery.
Mass incarceration means that we've got a very high rate of incarceration historically, comparatively. And the other thing is the rate of incarceration is so high, so socially concentrated, that we're no longer incarcerating the individual, but we're incarcerating whole social groups. The rate of incarceration now is about 5 times higher than it was historically. Historically it was 100 per 100,000, now it's about 500 per 100,000. If we look at prison, if we add jail to that, it's about 700 per 100,000. Nowhere in the world incarcerates as much as we do. We've seen extremely high rates of exposure to the criminal justice system for African American men with very low levels of schooling. So if we think about black men who were born in the late 1970s and who are growing up through the American prison boom of the 1980s and the 1990s, the chances that they're going to serve time in state or federal prison if they dropped out of high school is about 70%. So going to prison for that group of black men with very low levels of schooling, that's become a normal life event. And that's now where there's about 1.2 million African American children with a parent who's incarcerated. And that's about 1 in 9. The research shows the kids who experience parental incarceration have diminished school achievement, they have behavioural problems, depressive symptoms, acting out. And there's also evidence that these kinds of negative effects associated with parental incarceration are concentrated more among boys than among girls. And there's a very real risk here that incarceration becomes an inherited trait. The underlying issue is we've chosen prison as a way to respond to that problem of crime. And there are a whole variety of ways that we could have chosen to respond to that problem of crime. We've chosen the response of the deprivation of liberty. And we've chosen the response of the deprivation of liberty for a historically aggrieved group whose liberty in the United States was never firmly established to begin with.
Systemic racism.
According to Wikipedia, institutional racism, also known as systemic racism, is a form of racism that is embedded in the laws and regulations of a society or an organization.
Here's the issue that I'm having here. There appears that God favors a group over the other. That's just from my perspective of reading. There appears to be people that are cursed or people that are condemned. Did the curses ever run out that God has laid on specific groups of people? Do they run out? Does it have a maturation date, or are there still cursed people walking around to this present day? This is very important for me to understand before I can go into anything.
It's a great question. It's something before I would give my answer on. I would probably ask someone in my chain of authority. It's a great question. It's something before I would give my answer on. I would probably ask someone in my chain of authority, since all my wisdom I'm coming at you with is not my own, but it was told to me by my teacher, told to him by his teacher, that goes all the way back to Moses without missing a generation or a name. I would assume, based on what I've learned, that yeah, there is an expiration on these curses, that people can lift themselves out of the curses. I can give a specific example, not necessarily a curse from God, but King David cursed a certain region of Israel, and in the future we do believe that curse gets lifted. So I would subscribe, personally, my own idea that the curses of God are not eternal. In the future to come they may be lifted, but again, that's something I'd turn to my authorities on first.
Chapter 15. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with their great substance.
All right. So now where I'm at is what brings about a curse of the people, that you would accredit it to being something that was God-driven. What are some plagues or some curses that God can unleash on a disobedient people?
I mean, we can go back to the Sodomites, right? They were sinning with, you can call it sinning, but they were an evil people. They didn't love one another. They only cared for themselves, and basically they were denied an opportunity to live in this earth. They were that chance was taken away from them. So if someone's alive, there's a purpose for them to be alive. God doesn't need someone here. He can just, like he did with the Sodomites, take them away. They had no opportunity to live anymore. So if someone's finding themselves on this earth and they're alive, then they have the opportunity to do good on an equal level. Even if they're cursed people, they can come out.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee, and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store.
Now, good.
Cursed shall
So
be
this is
the
what I'm
fruit
saying.
of thy body.
I want to keep my train of flow. So this is where I'm at right now, because I don't believe in this God of Israel at all. And now I've arrived at the point of contention where I could express my evaluation of this whole imaginary being. That's what I would say, that is God. God curses people for being disobedient or not following the laws, statutes, or commandments. Is it safe to say? I don't want to take anything out of context based on your disposition. The things that bring about a curse is not following the edict of the Torah as conveyed from God to Moses, so forth and so on. I just don't want to take nothing out of context.
Right. It's not like there's these metaphysical laws that if you don't keep these mystical laws, you get cursed.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee, and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with a sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou canst not be healed. The Lord shall smite thee with madness, and blindness, and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servedst not the Lord thy God with joyfulness, and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favour to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kine, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high and fenced walls come down, so that the man that is tender among you, and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, if thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God. Then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee, until thou be destroyed. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. And it shall come to pass, that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good, and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you, and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look, and fail with longing for them all the day long. And there shall be no might in thine hand. The fruit of thy land, and all thy labors, shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed away, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
Has God ever interceded in the events of man's interfacing with each other? Has God ever stepped in and said, I'm going to lay a curse on this group of people, or on this nation, or on these masses, because I am dissatisfied with in the manner in which they are carrying themselves as a group, as a species, as an organization, as a race? Has God ever stepped in and said, it's time to lay down the curse? I'm going to curse this person for that which they have done. Has God ever did that?
I believe so.
Okay. So now that we're talking about a God that steps in or intervenes in man's affairs, that's the God that I wanted to talk about.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, he's not intervening in man's affairs.
No, I wouldn't say that. Let me get the
Okay, go ahead. Let me hear this.
I'm going to stick with the karma route, that God's not coming in out of nowhere left field and cursing someone. He set up a system with his rules in the world. And when people step out of those rules of nature, they invite certain things upon themselves. So any curse that hits someone is a self-manifested curse, I believe.
No problem. So I'll ask you again, just in case you want to rephrase your original answer. Does God ever step in and curse a people because he is dissatisfied with the manner in which that they've done things? Because initially you said, I believe so. So I just want to be clear before I move forward. Does God ever step in and say, well, this has to stop right now? This got to stop.
So I don't know if I would use the word step in, so to say. Because God I'll just say it very clearly, because in the creation, God created a world of justice, and it has rules to itself. And if throughout history, if someone broke any of those rules of the code of the universe, he will invite a curse upon himself. So what you're going to say, God cursed him, when you're really saying is God created a system to allow fairness in the world, and when someone went out of that system, he brought it upon himself. So it was almost from the start, it was destined, that these were the structures of rules.
So where is the system for the white man that has been destroying black people, racially profiling black people, conducting police brutality?
Psalm 149. Praise ye the Lord, sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punish punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. From Revelation 13:10, King James.
Raping, robbing, and pillaging our villages, our communities, castrating us, kidnapping us, and it still goes on today. I would believe, from a Judaic perspective, that black people are cursed. I would believe that we must be cursed as a people because we're doing something wrong. If we're not cursed by God, then what would you say, Pritel, is the reason why black people have to undergo these type of things? That's what I want to know. Why are we suffering right now? Are black people cursed because they're not following the laws of God? Or is it something else?
First things first, you invited the right Jew to speak with, because I have love for all humans. So your community, I love them because they're humans. And so when you speak about the white man and the black man, you know, maybe I'm outside of that because I have no hate for anyone. Secondly is, you know, I don't want to play the comparing, contrasting game, who suffered more, who didn't suffer more. But I would like to say, you know, you're complaining about the white man. My family was in Europe for perhaps 1,500 plus years. And we spoke about it on the radio interview that day. We had a horrible experience there of being raped, our houses burnt down, we weren't allowed to own land, getting arrested for nothing. So I totally understand European brutality because my family's dealing with the trauma of that as well. But like I said, I'm not here to compare and contrast who suffered more, but I will tell you why I would like to. Oh, okay, we could have that competition one day, you know, who put it all on paper. Right. I mean, yeah, right. Okay. So I don't know if it's white on white or black on black. It's probably, you know, we looked at it in Europe as the church versus not the church, or a European versus not a European. So for me, my family in Europe, we wouldn't associate with the people around us. We were doing our own thing in our own communities, and that bothered the Europeans or the church around us, and they took it out on us. So I don't know if the issue today is a white and black issue. It's a certain ideology versus not having that ideology and oppressing people who don't share that. But I would like to say I believe in purpose, you know, and if the African-American human family was brought from Africa to America in the worst conditions ever, which I believe needs to be addressed and needs to be meditated on every day by everyone in this country, what happened and who benefited off of it, who prospered off of it.
Page 183. So let's talk about the Caucasian Jews, the Khazars. Trading and serving as merchants included owning warehouses with inventories to outfit the largest sailing vessels and to make ship repairs. The Jews were the largest ship chandlers in the entire Caribbean region, where the shipping business was mainly a Jewish enterprise. Y'all see that? The ships, I'm right here. The ships were not only owned by Jews, but manned by Jewish crews and sailed under the command of Jewish captains. Many of the ships were engaged in bringing slaves from Africa to the 13 colonies, the British Islands in the Caribbean, and the Spanish colonies. The Jews spread through most of the West India Islands, French, English, and Spanish, as well as Dutch. So it's telling you that these Caucasian Jews that you Christians love so much, not only did they make the ships and own the ships, they sold the slaves and had slaves. Y'all seen this book before, The Negroes and the Jews. Lenore E. Burson. Go to page 212. The land of Israel is located in Western Asia and borders on North Africa. All of the native inhabitants of that region were non-white. When Spain expelled its Jews in 1492, many of them, the Jews, went to Africa. It seems probable that some of them were brought later to America as slaves. The spirituals never sing of African rivers. It's always the Jordan or the Red Sea. They don't sing about African chiefs or kings is David or Moses or some other Jewish character from the Bible. So I'm showing y'all this because you need to make a distinction when you read about the Jews. You had black Jews, the original Hebrews. Then you had converts, which are these Caucasians today, who owned slaves, sold slaves, bought slaves, and owned slave ships, and who live in Israel today.
These 15th century manuscripts. Sometimes, it's amazing that, people in the 15th century, were they, aware of color? All the saints, even the Virgin, is painted black. Today, even today, you don't find such paintings in churches. Not always, a bright color, not black color. So it has to be studied very, very well. These type of documents. Look, even the evangelist. This is Matthew. And the harag or the decorations. All this, And as I told you at the beginning, piece of clothes to cover. It is cotton made. This is, homemade clothes. So they protect it.
All right. Top left, it says the Jews. Now I want to jump down. The Jews. Next sentence reads, descended from one stock and prohibited by the most sacred institutions from intermarrying with the people of other nations, and yet dispersed, according to the divine prediction, that's Deuteronomy 28:64, into every country on the globe through slavery. This one people is marked with the colors of all. Fair in Britain, the ones fair in Britain are converts, and Germany, converts in the later years, brown in France and in Turkey, swarthy, that means black in Portugal and in Spain, olive in Syria. The word olives only come in three colors, black, brown, or green. Now there's no green people, so they're saying brown or black in Syria and in Chaldea, tawny or copper color in Arabia and in Egypt, whilst they are black at Congo in Africa. Let's go over. I want to underline section. A remarkable fact in the history of Loango and the Empire of Congo is that the country, according to a statement which was fully credited by Oldendorp, himself a writer of most correct judgment and of unimpeachable veracity, contains many Jews settled in it. See, there were many black Jews settled in the Congo. That's not taught in school. Okay, contains many Jews settled in it who retain their religious rights and distinct habits which keep them isolated from other nations. Though thus from the African population, they are black and resemble the other Negroes in every respect as to physical character. It is probably an allusion to this case that Pennington in his textbook says the descendants of a colony of Jews originally from Judea settled on the coast of Africa are black. Fact. That's not taught in schools. That's not taught in churches. Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. Waits says an interesting gradation of all shades down to the black is exhibited by the Jews. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. The Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard. The Duchess of Diabrantes, wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said that the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. Fact. Now I'm going into this book to show you the evil that the Christian church did to the Israelites during these days. New World Jewry, 1493 to 1825. Requiem for the Forgotten by Seymour B. Liebman. Y'all think Christianity is of God. So-called Christians whipped us, beat us, burned us alive. All right, I'm on page 31. The edict stated, among other things, that bestowing a Hebrew name on a newborn child was an indication of being a Jew. Now I'm just jumping down, but I'm showing the various things that how the church determined who was keeping God's laws and not. Those that were keeping God's laws suffered. Look at the bottom. It will serve as an example to the recently converted Indians and strike terror into the Hebrews. You had so-called Indians in this new world that were keeping God's commandments. They don't teach you that in school. Look at that first sentence right there. Look at that first sentence. Oh, how evil is the tribunal of the holy office. If not for it, I could count the Christians in this kingdom on my own fingers. See, our people always considered the Christian church evil. Oh, how evil is the tribunal of the holy office. Turn the page. I'm going to start at although. Although the Jews maintained their religious observances secretly, it is clear that many of their Christian neighbors were aware of the religious identity of the secret Jews. Yet few Christians appear in the list of witnesses in the trials of Jews. Those who do appear are an occasional slave or commercial competitor. Many slaves are referred to as Ladino. In this context, Ladino means a Negro slave who could speak Spanish understandably. That's what they called the Jews that they put in slavery in Spain, Ladinos. Pay close attention. Pay close attention. Subsequently, he went to Luanda, Angola, a Portuguese colony in Africa. He stated at his trial that during his travels, he observed all Jewish days of fasting and learned the locations of all the Jewish communities in Europe, Africa, and the New World. The New World is the Americas. He finally settled in Veracruz. He and his wife were convicted in 1647 of being Judío, observante de la ley de Moisés. Translated means a Jew and observer of the law of Moses. She, being his wife, received 100 lashes and he 200. Both were sentenced to perpetual prison. Prisoners usually served only 2 or 3 years when sentenced to perpetual prison.
And how to fix that, I have my own thoughts on that. But yeah, I do believe there's purpose for it. And imagine if the African American was never taken from Africa to America, and a bunch of Europeans came here and created evil doctrines and, went on for their global, global conquest. There may have been no checks and balance system in this country. Now that you do find yourself here and your community spread through every city in this country, imagine what would happen if you unified and you had a voice and a power. What would happen to the justice system in the world? You could bring great things to everyone. So maybe there's purpose that you're here.
Well, I would tell you, we don't really have room for imagination because we're dealing with the reality that every time we have tried to unify, the white man, the white race, his institution and his systems have made sure that they've murdered our race. They murdered our leaders. It's very convenient that when we go into the Torah, you say the Torah doesn't specifically identify with race. It's very convenient when we talk to you about oppression, you don't want to identify specifically with race. You want to talk about institutions, but not the people that erected the institutions. So what I'm saying is this, per the original question, are black people cursed? I'm asking you from a Judaic perspective, looking at what our people are going through. Is your God cursing us? That's what I need to know. Is this a curse of your God? Whether he's stepping in, figuratively speaking or not, are we suffering from curses on behalf of your God? Keep it real.
Yeah.
Or is the black race cursed?
Right.
To your God and your perception of what's going on.
Right. It's a good question. I mean, it's not for me to tell you if you're cursed or not. It's for you to tell me, are you cursed or not? And your nation will mobilize and they will unite and their voice will be beautiful. And I believe it and I'm here to help.
Okay. This is going too far. It's going entirely too far. We got to get back to reality. So it's clear you don't want to address the race issues. It's on the table. It's on the table. You have a God. He curses people. And I'm just simply asking, from your Judaic perspective, are black people cursed? It's a fair question. Whether it makes you uncomfortable or not, it's a fair question, because if curses exist, and you can read about people of old that have been cursed because they were not following the laws, statutes, and commandments of God, or because they were sowing evil seeds, so to speak, and you can rationalize that those people have been cursed, then what is the harm in saying that your God has cursed black people? What is the harm in just saying black people are cursed by way of your perspective and understanding? How can you identify ancient people as being cursed, but then you are totally oblivious to present day people being cursed? What is making you feel so uncomfortable about just saying you black people are cursed? Why won't you just say it? You believe we're cursed. Or say you don't believe we're cursed. Don't straddle the fence. Tell us something. Who's cursed? This is all based on your teachings. Just tell us, are black people cursed? Your family.
Right. So, I don't know if I'm an authority to speak on behalf of the Jewish people.
Well, this is the thing. I stand here as a pantheist of the Kemetic science doctrine. This is to simply say that I don't believe in God. So my deepest contemplations isn't that black people are cursed. Here it is. I have somebody that professes that a God exists. Not only is it someone that professes that a God exists, but you take on the actual image of people that we would conceptualize to be our oppressors of old. And understanding that you are of the descendancy or the progeny of people who have strictly enforced a harder way of life for our people. Maybe not necessarily your most immediate family member like your father, but somewhere down the line, there's a horrible disadvantage taking place on account to our complexion. Having said that, I'm not here to complain to you about giving us something back. Not at all. I am here talking to a white male that is suggesting to me that we can share the same God. And if we share the same God, I want to share the same rights under your God. And this same white male can tell me about curses of old, but will not tell me about no one on the planet that is cursed today. That makes me very uncomfortable. It seems very disingenuous. It seems like you're hiding something, because I don't want to talk about people that we can't see if we're not going to reference those situations and identify with them today. So I wouldn't understand, why would you even teach or beseech to communicate any information about your scripture if you're not going to show the relevancy of it today? Instead, what you're doing is being very selective about what you choose to talk about. So I'm not here to petition to you about how to help the black community get better. I'm asking you to actually be more forthcoming and more honest about this thing you're calling God, because this God that you have favors y'all, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. But we are not getting a fair shake under your God. We are still oppressed today. And it would stand to reason that obviously black people are doing something wrong, and you guys are obviously doing something right, because you believe in God and things are working incredibly well for you guys, and black people are trying to believe in this God and it's working horribly wrong for us over here. So only thing I can conceive is if we share the same God, that I am willingly submitting to you as my master, because I don't understand how the two of us can pray to the same God and not it doesn't pan out equally. And if you love us so much, because that's you, I would implore that you tell us that this is just what makes you unique, or this is the teachings of the Torah, and all the Jews are communicating to each other that these are all people of humanity. We all love each other. We don't got this concept of color, complexion, and race just by chance, though, where basically most of us are only having wives of the same race, of the same religion. But no, we think everybody's of the human race, and we love everybody of the human race. But for some reason, we don't see that actualized in real time and in real life. All I'm simply saying, as a black man today with a great opportunity to talk to you, which is great for the viewership because people need to see the dialogue take place between the races. It's healthy. You understand? So all I'm merely saying today is, why should a black person believe in the same God as a pale Jew? Why should a black person look at you, consider their disposition, see how their race is, and then see the effort from the Jew that says, we're brothers and we love you all, we all part of humanity. We don't see complexion. The Torah doesn't teach us about complexion. But they see us suffering, even as you come into this community now. You see us suffering and you say, look, I'm in Israel and I'm building all sorts of stuff in Israel and it's open to everybody. But we in the hood. Why you don't come in the hood and love your fellow brother? Why a plethora of Jews consecrated areas adjacent to the poor black community to do their own thing and live separate? And I ain't mad at you. Up until the point where you tell me I'm your brother and you all love us. So since you love us and we're all brothers, why is there a Jewish community separate and different and adjacent from the black community? Where is the helping hand that I see you coming into the community with?
But I did have a question for you. I wanted to throw it back at you because you keep referencing that you don't believe in God and you don't subscribe to that. You know, so what is your version of, you know, let's call it the creator of the universe, where this universe came from? What's the source of it? Is this just a random explosion? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, this is absolutely no problem. I'm glad you asked me that question. And firstly, again, you still got to address the race issues. And we have to stop playing pretend, because in Israel, there's people who identify themselves as Hebrews still to present day being oppressed. Okay. And then secondly, the only reason they were able to get any kind of land, our darker brothers over there, not all of them, is because they said, we'll join your military. And in exchange of them joining Israel's military, concessions were made for them to have a space to live in, which are not even conducive for human beings. But, okay, you could do it. Well, we could bring the facts out.
I mean, you may be referencing the Village of Peace, the African Americans who came from Chicago and moved to Israel. I visited them, very close with them. I was at the funeral services for Ben Ami, their leader. They live in Dimona near a nuclear reactor, but they don't live alone. They live next to a huge city of Israelis who live right next to them and share the same plot of land. So it's not like there's a nuclear reactor and an African-American community. There's a nuclear reactor, a huge Israeli community, and it's very teeny tiny African-American community who I met the people on the ground out there on a good plan. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I'm going to let you answer this question. Oh, man, Harry, I don't want to be too hard on you because I want you to come to the debate. I don't want you to run. But the way you are giving off your answers now, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get slaughtered. You know, you got to, strap up and go in. We want you to go hard. We want to hear the truth. And right now, I think you're lying. I'm not going to say you're lying. I'm going to say you're lying. I'm not going to say I think. I'm going to say you're lying. Because we know what's going on. I want to ask you this question, Harry. Talk about the chosen people of God. Who do you say is the chosen people of God? Keep it real. Let's not play games here, because we've been hearing the Jews for decades saying how they are the chosen people of God. We respect a man's honesty. You're not going to hurt our feelings. We used to this. I want you to keep it real for us, Harry. Who you consider to be the chosen people of God?
A lot of love in me. You guys not ready for it. Just wait for the debate. But the chosen people is not a race, is not a color, it's not someone that comes from a specific region. It is someone who identifies with a certain ideology that comes from the teachings of Moses on the mountain, which, like I'm saying, I'm on the ground in Israel. There's people from China, India, Africa. They're my brothers. The chosen people of God. Yes. That's called converts. Yeah. That's okay. That's great. The chosen people of God could be anyone who identifies with his narrative.
Chapter 23. And it came to pass, a long time after that, the Lord had given rest unto Israel from all their enemies round about, that Joshua waxed old and stricken in age. And Joshua called for all Israel, and for their elders, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and said unto them, I am old and stricken in age. And ye have seen all that the Lord your God hath done unto all these nations because of you, for the Lord your God is he that hath fought for you. Behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes from Jordan, with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward. And the Lord your God, he shall expel them from before you, and drive them from out of your sight. And ye shall possess their land, as the Lord your God hath promised you. Be ye therefore very courageous to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, that ye turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left, that ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them, nor bow yourselves unto them, but cleave unto the Lord your God, as ye have done unto this day. For the Lord hath driven out from before you great nations and strong. But as for you, no man hath been able to stand before you unto this day. Chapter 7. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou, and when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor shew mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Try to come at me. Let's see what you got.
He's not going to be able to slip. I'm enjoying this because he has to remember things that he said before and things that he's saying right now. This is all chess because he identifies with a chosen group of people. He might have forgot some of the things he's been saying, but it's okay. It's okay because he could be of the seed of his father. Okay? So we're not going to have a problem. Oh, yeah, I would love you to ask a question. Keep in mind I still have to answer his question.
Come on, let him in. Go ahead. Go over there.
Yeah, come on. Get in here. There you go. Let's get you guys in here.
So I feel that Harry's, the rabbi, is coming with a perspective, and he's basically telling to you that you have a choice to choose to be what we're calling chosen people or not. And all that everyone's coming back at the rabbi and saying is, whoa, so you guys have this community and you guys think that you're the chosen people and we're not. But what we're trying to communicate is that it's your opportunity. So why do you fight it?
Let me show you this. Here's where the mistake keeps getting made. I'm not interested in being the chosen group because that, by default, would sound like I want to conform or subscribe to your doctrine. I believe your doctrine is man-made. I believe it's a fabrication of our ancient Kemetic texts and other ancestors, other brothers and sisters of antiquity. I don't believe a word that any of you guys say anytime you quote anything from that book because I might as well read it from the original manuscripts. So I'm not concerned with being the original if I'm actually cursed. These are ideas that have plagued our community because brothers and sisters in our community, despite the fact that they had their tongue stripped out their mouth, okay, despite the fact that they were forced to be illiterate, and then when they learned how to read, they was told what exactly to read. Despite that fact, we have brothers and sisters today that can actually read, and the brothers and sisters today that are calling themselves Hebrews, which I don't call myself a Hebrew. But the brothers and sisters today that call themselves Hebrews, they are not disillusioned. They are reading things in that book that is intimating that they are the chosen people. They are reading things in that book that is giving them the impression that you guys or somebody else are a cursed people. And now we sit here with you guys giving us the heal the world story, and I love it. It sounds great and it's amazing. The only problem is that's not coming out of those books that you guys are reading. Now, if you want to create a new doctrine, I love your doctrine. It sounds dope. I hope there's more of you guys around. You guys are some of the flyest people that I know. It's a cool doctrine. but there's something going on in that book. And I know my brothers in the community are not tripping. They are reading things about people being cursed. They're reading things about them being God's chosen children. They're reading things about who they can have sex with and who they cannot have sex with. They're reading things about the illegitimate Jews.
Chapter 2. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried.
Or the false or the fake Hebrews, or the ones that are not God's seed, and how to deal with them. They are not making these things up. My brothers, who I don't oftentimes agree with about certain things, but I'm not going to sit here and act like the brothers in the community that say they are Hebrews just made all this shit up, and you guys got the real perspective, because then what was they reading this whole time? And don't tell me that they are disillusioned. Don't tell me they're not reading about chosen people and cursed seeds, but now you come here and no one's cursed. And it doesn't even make a reference to blood. There's no bloodline. There's no lineage. All of that is moot. It's null and void. We're all a human family. Hell no, it doesn't say that in that book. So this is a lie. This is where the problem is. So it's not so much that he's coming with a doctrine of peace and love. I don't have a problem with that. It's the fact that he says he's a Jew. It's the fact that he says he makes subscriptions to the Torah. And since he's saying that, the things that he's saying is contradicting the things that are going on within that book too. Now you get on camera and you are totally oblivious to the sectarian aspect of it, the totalitarian aspect of it, the racial aspect of the doctrine, the cursing of the God, the putting one group of people over another people, and now you sit here and you smile in our faces. You actually are smiling. You are looking like you are in awe, or like you are flabbergasted, like where is this guy coming from and getting this information?
The book of Obadiah, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom, We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, Who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough?
We are
if
not
the great
crazy.
Gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some
First thing I
grapes?
got to correct
How
you,
are
because
the
you
things
said
that
it's all
Esau
about
searched
bloodline,
out?
and like.
Say it's all about bloodline. They're seeing things about bloodline.
Well, you were trying to intimidate that I was making something up about a global family. When I'm going to reiterate what I said before, is that the House of Israel started from a bloodline, then it became open source for people who wanted to join in the house were able to.
God said that?
Yes.
Chapter 6 is the day of salvation, giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed, but in all things approving ourselves as the ministers of God, in much patience, in afflictions, in necessities, in distresses, in stripes, in imprisonments, as chastened and not killed, as sorrowful yet always rejoicing, as poor yet making many rich, as having nothing and yet possessing all things. O ye Corinthians, our mouth is open unto you, our heart is enlarged. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God, as God hath said, I will dwell in them, and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you.
It says to the Edomite and to the Egyptian, if they join you to the third generation, they're grafted in, called the Kahal Hashem, to the congregation of God. And it says you got to love him and treat him like a brother and treat him equal, and the same law applies for the both.
The book of Amos, chapter 1. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. But I will send a fire on the wall of Tyrus, which shall devour the palaces thereof. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with a sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. But I will send a fire upon Teman, which shall devour the palaces of Bozrah. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have ripped up the women with child of Gilead, that they might enlarge their border. But I will kindle a fire in the wall of Rabbah, and it shall devour the palaces thereof, with shouting in the day of battle, with a tempest in the day of the whirlwind. And their king shall go into captivity, he and his princes together, saith the Lord.
So I'm just going to have to correct you over there that there is such a thing as a global family under the God of Israel, and it has nothing to do with the white man. Now, if you see racism today, that's not being pulled from the scriptures. That's just being pulled from having a bad parent, having a bad community leader, and not being educated on it.
Psalm 149. Praise ye the Lord, sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a 2-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains, and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord.
Racism is an issue in this country. I do appreciate that I am a white man, because when I travel through security in airports, I get a lot of high fives, thumbs up. A cop pulls me over, he asks me if I'm okay. So I understand. Yeah? Yeah.
You to go on record and say you have no idea that the Jews finance slavery.
Oh, when you say the Jews, you can't speak on behalf of the Jews. You may say a few wealthy Jewish families who were considered sinners or evil financed the slave trade, or financed a few ships, or insured a few trips.
Have your people not reaped the benefits off of slavery?
Like I'm saying, I don't get any Jew gold sent to me every week, so I don't know what you're saying. Yes, there are a few elite families, and you know what? Those families gave ties over to, I'm sure you know about the Freemasons. You subscribe to that, right? So there are Jewish people who may have left their alliance towards the rabbi of their community, the Torah of their community. So I asked my rabbi very clear. I said, what do we say about a Jewish man who financed a ship on a slave trade, or who insured a ship on a slave trade? What do we consider that man? And my rabbi said very simple, he's a Russia. He's an evil man. You're not allowed to do that according to the law. So that's my brother.
Let me tell you this. Here's the issue. Okay? You have a ring right here. And a man that subscribed, not a man, let's not do it, it's not a Jew. Jews, get over here and say, man, these are these black people's valuables. Let's take this, right? And then they take it.
And parlay it into an empire.
They take it and they create abundance from what they took. Now, you're born in the interim of all of this going on, and you make children, and this thing still exists in you guys' possession. And now you believe in heal the world, throw flowers in the air, smell the aroma of peace and love, and never mind racism, never mind color, never mind complexion, while you still keep this shit in your possession. That's the problem we talking about. So if you love us so much, render back onto the people that which was taken. That's all we saying. If it's so real, because you don't receive no gold. Yes, you do. You have been receiving concessions from that which your ancestors have done for the longest. If you truly want to redeem yourself before the people, what y'all going to do is say, you know what? I can't live another day in this beautiful home. Right. I can't live another day on this beautiful land. Because I believe you're not the one living next to the toxic waste like the brothers that are living there next to some white folks. I believe you're wise enough not to live next to nothing like that. I believe that you should understand at this point in conversation that inevitably you are still reaping the benefits directly and indirectly from that which your ancestors have done. While we are also The stress has been incurred perpetually from one generation to the next from that which has been done to us in light of your ancestors, though other people's ancestors have capitalized off our oppression as well. So if you love us so much like you say, and you are talking about a doctrine of karma, the question is, can the child's child still obtain that which has been stolen without being held accountable for it? While another people are here in their diaspora, suffering and displaced, only conceiving what life may have been like had these events not transpired. How then can you sit here and say, I'm not reaping none of the benefits? Of course you are. So instead of the love doctrine, it's very easy. You know, I can't live another day like this. Keep the house. I'm going to go in the hood. I'm going to start eating rice and wings. I'm going to start drinking the 50-cent soda.
You said before, it's not about that. You don't want me to come up with a plan, but you want me to feel bad? Yeah, you kind of did say that. But,
that's called reparations.
Right.
Anything you give back to black people.
So here we go. We're complaining about a bunch of Jews who created this game called Monopoly, and they got this thing called Monopoly money. But why would we give you reparations in the form of Monopoly money? Let's collectively break off the game, because I don't like this game either.
You're making a mistake.
You sure?
Yes, this is the mistake you're making. Let me show you.
Yeah.
It's very short. I said anything you give to black people from now to the rest of your life is reparations. That's what I'm telling you. Anything you give back is not a good deed, it's reparations. Anything you give back to black people is due. That's what I'm telling you. You give something to a black person today, it is due. It's no kudos, it's no pat on your back, it's no thank you for doing something nice to me. No, that's what I'm going to give another brother who gives me something. I'm going to say thank you, I appreciate that. But if you give me something, it is reparations. It is long overdue, and I'm waiting for you to give me more. That's how this works.
Oh, no, and like I said, I'm not collecting any money from it. This is not just me saying I got a vision, I got a dream. I have an actual plan. You and I may even run for president one day and enact that plan, but let's see what we're going to do. I would like to hear your answer, though, before we wrap this up on the God choice. And then I got to fly to Israel. I'm going back to the homeland, everyone.
That's right. Tell the homies living next to the toxic waste we said what's up. Yes, this is what I want to tell you. When it comes to this God concept, again, I said, and I actually answered this earlier, that I'm a pantheist of the Kemetic science. You have the right to believe in whatever you believe in out there. It's not my right to impose my belief on your belief. It's not my right to impose myself and my thoughts on your belief. But if you come into a forum where we can go into a diatribe or into deliberation about these particular events, then I'm going to tell you you have no right to tell these things to thinking human beings because it's asinine. You got the right to believe what you believe. If I see you down the block, you tell me you believe in it, I'm going to respect you every day of the week because your personal relationship with God is your personal relationship with God. If you just gave me the rules, if you just gave me the laws, don't kill, thou shalt not kill, love your mother, honor your father. If you just gave me those rules, I would say I'm down with your doctrine. I would appreciate it. Once you start telling me God is sticking his hand into events and making things change and cursing other people and parting waters or walking on water or turning 70 people to 400,000 people, 400,000 people, 2 million families. Once you start telling me about all these things and alligators coming out of nowhere and the Pharaoh's plague with all sorts of gnats and flies and he knew I got to let these people go. Once you start telling me those things, the Abraham, the Isaac, the Jacob, sacrifice your son before the fire. Oh, hold on. Before you get ready to burn him, pull him back. I'm glad that you are rolling with me. God just wanted to see if you was going to burn a nigga. Once you start doing that, I don't want to deal with that.
I do know, you're talking about sea-splitting, all these mystical things. It seems like you like science. I don't think it's a far-fetched thing in the world of science to see water split. You take an electrical rod or some magnetic technology, you can move water very easily. I do believe that the Egyptians were producing electricity. I do believe the ancient Israelites were producing electricity. I don't think you answered where the whole thing came from yet, but
from the mind.
Consciousness, right? So that's a Kabbalistic concept also, but we actually have a creator standing behind that. But I'd like to end on this note. Right, yeah, you know what? I agree with you. There is no need to have all that conversation when it comes down to the issues in the world today, what's going on in your community, and what we could do to fix the world. We don't need to talk about God. I always say, let's fix the world, then let's get a cup of tea, and we'll talk about which God is right.
That's right, but at this debate, we're going to talk about your God.
Oh, we could talk about it. If you want to. If you want to talk about saving the world, we could do that. We could separate that from the God conversation. These are two separate things. But Right, we could mix it. All right, everyone. Yeah.
Thank Harry for coming and showing up. That's what's up.
It's been real.
Hey, yo, for the Hebrews that's out there, man, I want y'all to load up that chat room of all the verses where you guys are the chosen people of Israel, because for some reason, these guys don't know nothing about that. They never heard of that. This shit is the biggest conspiracy I've ever seen in my life, I've ever heard in my life. I've never seen people subscribe to the Torah totally oblivious to the chosen people of Israel. I've never seen this a day in my life. You guys are amazing for that.
And I'd like to now bring up another interesting place that you're finding descendants of the Israelites, but may not necessarily be from the 10 tribes, but will also play a role. And it shouldn't be overlooked. It's a very serious scenario. Is in Africa. Africa has perhaps hundreds of millions of people with this identity right now of being from the people of Israel. Does that mean they were from the 10 tribes? Likely not. We were taught by the historians and within our own traditions that when the Romans conquered Judea, a few hundred years after that the tribes of Israel went into exile, perhaps millions of Judeans were sold into slavery. And if you look now, you're seeing people who are most likely the descendants of those slaves who kept true. I like to bring up a few specific examples because they're going to be game changers. And where it gets interesting is, in America, there was a slave trade. And a lot of the slaves, a very high percentage of them, came from Western Nigerian ports. And in America today, you see a very large movement of African Americans who say that they're the real chosen people, that they're the children of Israel, they're the Judeans. You know, so what are they just trying to create an identity for themselves because they were slaves, or is there really something here? And the answer is most likely there is something there. And most likely maybe that they were the original Israelites, and maybe that the Jewish people today who are white, Caucasian people came in a little bit later on. So here we are, we're Caucasian Jewish people, and now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel. It can't be ruled out at all. We know they were sold into slavery. We know now that they're fulfilling prophecies by saying, we're coming back.
A government in exile. So watch. A government in exile is a political group which claims to be a country or semi-sovereign state's legitimate government, right? Essentially what we're doing. So the crazy thing is people have a problem with what we're doing with that, but this is a thing that happens. And we're going to read about all the places that present to this day are doing the same thing that we're doing, establishing a government and claiming to be the legitimate government of a place and of a people, but is unable to exercise legal power and instead resides in another state or foreign country. So we are representing that legitimate government under Hamashiach Yahushua, but we're presently unable until he comes and enables us and conquers the earth, unable to exercise legal power. And we now reside in a diaspora as being scattered throughout the world. A lot of us here in Babylon, but we're all over the place, right? Governments in exile usually plan to one day return to their native country and regain formal power. That's what we're about. You can hate it in the eloquent words of my esteemed and beloved elder, Mathathua. Go cry.
Hey, I wrote this song about the truth. She was like, I'm so through with these niggas.
She said love don't seem to live here anymore. She's been down and out and broken down before. Niggas don't act right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Niggas don't act right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Love don't seem to live here anymore. She's been down and out and broken down before. Niggas don't act right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Niggas don't act right. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
We know that you're gifted, and ain't much to hit on. You keeping his laws and watch how you moving your all that's the hit for. Yeah, that little nigga got it. He ain't hear no shit, though. His stacking look change and getting his feelings and still kick a kick, though. Tell him look at your spirit, but he just want you to get low. If he ain't walking with the Most High, then tell him to get lost. Start to act like a diva, he pushing up on you to get you to you know. Start to act like a diva, he pushing up on you trying to get you to get low.
America, that you don't know who you are, but you are the children of Yahweh, the children of Israel, and I'm telling you, you have to come back to your homeland, here to Zion, to Jerusalem, because us the Gentiles, we do need you. We need you to come and pray because you are our saviors. You're the one that was chosen by Yahweh to live in this land, not the Jewish people, it's you. You were stolen from Africa, they deceived you, they told you that you are slaves, but you actually the children of Israel. And it's time just to come back. Come for your people, come back for us, come back for the whole Gentiles, because only you gonna save us.
This is J.P. Banks Music.
We done had a wrong way, must have traveled on the wrong day. Every case a cold case and every way's the wrong way. Grown men having girly ways and women wanna be men. Go to church every weekend and then leave out and go straight to sin. They wonder why you can't never win. I wonder why she can't find a man. I wonder why that grown woman about to leave his ass. Songs about death is what your children play. to hit on. You keeping his laws and watch how you moving your all that's the hit for. Yeah, that little nigga got it. He ain't hit no shit though. His tactics look change and get in his feelings and still kick a kick though. Tell him look at your spirit, but he just want you to get low. If he ain't walking with the most high, then tell him to get lost. Start to act like a diva, he pushing up on you, that gets you to you know. Start to act like a diva, he pushing up on you, trying to get you to get lost.